something is draining you. And it's not because you're weak. It's not because you've lost your faith. It's not because God has stepped away from your life. And it's not because you're not trying hard enough. The truth is, you've been fighting battles you were never meant to fight. And the longer you stay in those battles, the more exhausted your spirit becomes. You pray, but you still feel tired. You push forward, but something keeps pulling you back. You try to stay strong, but deep down, there's a quiet weariness you can't explain that's not random. There is a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too little, but from doing too much of the wrong thing. The Bible never told you to fight every battle. In fact, some of the battles you're in right now, God never called you into them. And yet, you're still there, still striving, still proving, still holding on to things God already told you to release. That's why your spirit feels heavy, because when you fight battles outside of God's will, you're not just using your strength, you're carrying a weight you were never designed to carry. There are battles God will fight for you. There are battles God will lead you through. And then, there are battles God tells you to walk away from completely, but the enemy knows something most people don't realize. He doesn't always need to destroy you directly. Sometimes, all he has to do is keep you busy fighting the wrong battles. Because if he can keep you distracted, he can keep you drained. And if he can keep you drained, he can keep you from stepping into what God is actually doing in your life. Right now, some of you are in battles that look important, but they're not spiritual assignments, they're spiritual distractions. And until you recognize them, you will keep losing energy, losing peace, and wondering why nothing is changing. But today, that ends, because once you see these battles clearly, you'll understand something powerful. You don't need to fight harder. You need to fight smarter. And more importantly, you need to stop fighting the battles God never told you to fight. Number 1, the battle to control everything. There's a quiet pressure you've been carrying, a need to hold everything together, to manage every outcome, to predict what's coming next, to make sure nothing falls apart. You don't always say it out loud, but inside, there's a constant tension, like if you let go for even a moment, everything might collapse. So you hold tighter. You overthink every decision. You replay conversations in your mind. You try to fix things before they even break. And slowly, without realizing it, you become exhausted, because control is a battle that never ends. The more you try to control, the more you feel like you're losing it. And here's the truth most people don't want to admit. God never asked you to control everything. The Bible doesn't say, lean on your own understanding until you figure it out. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. But control feels safer, doesn't it? Trust requires surrender. Control creates the illusion of safety. So you choose control, and it drains you. You start carrying things that were never yours to carry. You take responsibility for outcomes that only God can handle. And now your spirit is tired, not because life is too hard, but because you're trying to play a role that doesn't belong to you. Let this settle in your heart. If you have to force it, manage it, and constantly worry about it, it's probably not in your hands to control. God is not asking you to hold everything together. He's asking you to let go and let Him lead. Because peace doesn't come from control, it comes from trust. And the moment you release what was never yours to carry, you'll feel something shift inside you. Not everything around you will change immediately, but something within you will. The pressure will lift, the noise will quiet down, and for the first time in a long time, you'll be able to breathe again. Number 2, the battle for everyone's approval. There's another battle that looks harmless on the surface, but it's quietly draining your spirit. The need to be accepted, to be liked, to be understood, to make sure no one is disappointed in you. So you adjust yourself. You change how you speak depending on who you're around. You hold back what you really feel. You say yes when everything inside you wants to say no, because somewhere along the way you started believing that your worth is tied to how people see you. And now, you're tired of trying to please everyone, tired of being misunderstood anyway, tired of feeling like no matter what you do, it's never enough. But here's what you need to understand. God never called you to win everyone's approval. Even Jesus, perfect, sinless, full of truth, was rejected, criticized, and misunderstood. So why do you think you're supposed to be accepted by everyone? The moment you make people your source of validation, you put yourself in a battle you can never win, because people are inconsistent. Their opinions change. Their expectations shift. And if you build your identity on that, your peace will never be stable. You were not created to be approved by everyone. You were created to be aligned with God. And sometimes, that alignment will cost you approval. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you being understood, but it will give you something far greater: clarity, freedom, peace. Because when you stop trying to be everything for everyone, you finally have the space to become who God actually called you to be. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need everyone to understand you. You just need to know that you are walking in what God has placed on your life, and that is enough. The battle for approval will drain you, but the moment you step out of it, you step into freedom. Number 3, the battle of constant comparison. There's a battle happening quietly in your mind, and most people don't even realize how much it's affecting them. It's the habit of looking at someone else's life and measuring yours against it. You see where they are, what they've achieved, how fast things seem to be moving for them. And without even thinking, something inside you starts to question, why not me? Am I behind? Did I miss something? And just like that, your peace is gone. Comparison doesn't just steal your joy. It distorts your perspective, because you're no longer seeing your life through God's plan. You're seeing it through someone else's timeline, and that will always make you feel like you're losing. But here's the truth: God never asked you to compare your calling to anyone else's. In the Bible, no two journeys look the same. David was anointed long before he became king. Joseph had a promise, but went through years of delay and hardship before it was fulfilled. If they had compared themselves to others, they might have walked away from what God was doing in their lives. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. He doesn't need to stop your purpose. He just needs to make you doubt it. Because once you start comparing, you stop appreciating what God is building in you. You begin to rush what needs time. You question what God already confirmed. You lose confidence in a path that was designed specifically for you. Let this settle in your spirit. Comparison is a distraction, not a direction. You were never meant to live someone else's life. You were never meant to follow someone else's pace. God is not late with you. He is intentional. Every delay, every process, every hidden season is shaping something in you that cannot be rushed. So stop looking sideways, because the more you focus on what others are doing, the more you lose sight of what God is doing in you. And what God is doing in you matters. Number 4. The battle of fighting every offense. Some battles don't come with noise or chaos. They come through words, a comment, a look, something someone said or didn't say, and suddenly you feel it. That irritation, that urge to respond, that need to defend yourself. So you replay it in your mind. You build arguments. You imagine what you should have said. You carry it longer than you want to admit. And before you realize it, you're emotionally drained. Not because the situation was that big, but because you chose to fight it. Here's something most people don't understand. Not every offense deserves your energy. In fact, many of the things that trigger you are traps. The enemy knows he doesn't always need to attack your life directly. Sometimes he just needs to pull you into unnecessary conflicts, because if he can get you distracted, he can get you drained. And when you're drained, you lose focus, you lose clarity, you lose peace. The Bible says a gentle answer turns away wrath. It doesn't say you have to respond to everything. It doesn't say you have to defend yourself every time someone misunderstands you. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know this battle is not worth your spirit. There are people who will misunderstand you. There are moments where you won't be able to explain yourself, and that's okay, because your peace is more valuable than being right in every situation. When you choose not to fight every offense, you protect your energy for the battles that actually matter. You stop reacting, and you start responding with wisdom, and suddenly, things that used to disturb you no longer have the same power over you. That's not weakness. That's growth. And that's freedom. Number 5. the battle of proving yourself. There's a quiet pressure that pushes you to constantly show that you're enough, to prove your worth, to prove your value, to prove that you belong where you are. So you work harder, you push further, you carry more than you should, just to make sure no one questions you. And even when you achieve something, it doesn't feel like enough, because the battle isn't really about what you do. It's about what you're trying to prove, and that's why it never ends. You keep chasing validation through performance. You keep trying to earn something that God already gave you, because deep down, there's a belief that says, if I don't prove myself, I won't be accepted. But here's the truth that will set you free. God never asked you to prove yourself. Your identity was never meant to be built on performance. In the Bible, before Jesus did any miracle, before he preached to crowds, before anything visible happened, God said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased," not after, before. That means approval came before performance. And the same principle applies to you. You are not working for God's approval. You are working from it. But when you forget that, you step into a battle that drains everything out of you. You start doing things out of pressure instead of purpose. You measure your value by results instead of relationship, and your spirit becomes exhausted because you're trying to earn something that was never meant to be earned. Let this settle in your heart. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone, not to people, not to the world, and not even to God, because your value was already decided the moment he created you. When you finally let go of the need to prove yourself, you step into a different kind of peace, a peace that isn't shaken by opinions, a confidence that doesn't depend on outcomes. And for the first time, you stop striving and you start living in who you already are. Number 6, the battle against your past is a battle that keeps pulling you backward. Even when you're trying to move forward, it's the weight of your past, mistakes you regret, moments you wish you could change, decisions that still echo in your mind, and no matter how much time passes, it still feels close. You replay it, you question yourself, you wonder how things could have been different, and slowly, without realizing it, your past starts defining your present. You begin to see yourself through what you did, instead of who you are becoming. And that's exhausting, because you're fighting something that has already happened, something you cannot change. But here's what you need to understand. God never called you to live in your past. In fact, the Bible says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing." That means God is not focused on where you were. He's focused on where he's taking you. But the enemy will try to keep reminding you of your past. Not to teach you, but to trap you. Because if he can keep you looking backward, he can stop you from moving forward. He will bring up your mistakes. He will replay your failures. He will try to convince you that you're still the same person, but you're not. You are not who you used to be. You are not defined by your worst moment. You are not limited by your past decisions. God is a God of redemption. That means he doesn't just forgive, he restores. He doesn't just erase, he rebuilds. And the moment you accept that, something shifts inside you. You stop fighting your past, and you start walking into your future. Because the truth is, you can't step into what God is doing next if you're still holding on to what he already brought you out of. Let it go, not because it didn't matter, but because God is doing something new, and you don't want to miss it. Number 7. The battle you were never meant to fight alone. There's one battle that drains you more than anything else, and it's not because the battle itself is too big. It's because you've been trying to fight it by yourself. You carry it quietly. You think through it alone. You try to stay strong without letting anyone see what you're really going through. On the outside, you look fine, but on the inside, you're tired. Tired of holding it together, tired of figuring everything out on your own, tired of feeling like if you don't handle it, no one else will. So you keep pushing. You rely on your own strength. You depend on your own understanding. You try to solve spiritual battles with human effort, and slowly, your strength starts to run out. Because here's the truth. God never designed you to fight alone. The Bible says the battle is not yours, but God's. But when you isolate yourself, When you carry everything on your own, you step into a battle that was never meant to be yours in the first place. You begin to replace dependence with self-reliance, and self-reliance might feel strong for a moment, but it will always lead to exhaustion because your strength has limits. God's strength does not. There are battles that require prayer, not pressure, surrender, not striving, trust, not control. But if you never bring it to God, you will keep trying to fight something that only He can handle. And that's where the shift happens. The moment you stop saying, I have to figure this out, and start saying, God, I trust you with this, everything begins to change. Not always immediately around you, but deeply within you. The weight lifts, the tension eases, the pressure fades, because you're no longer carrying it alone. You're finally fighting the way you were meant to fight. With God. Conclusion. Now you see it. The exhaustion you've been feeling wasn't random. It wasn't because you're weak. It wasn't because God left you. And it wasn't because you're not doing enough. It's because you've been fighting battles you were never meant to fight. Battles of control. Battles for approval. Battles of comparison. Battles of offense. Battles of proving yourself. Battles against your past. And the battle of trying to do everything on your own. No wonder you're tired. No wonder your spirit feels heavy. You've been carrying things that don't belong to you. But here's the good news. You don't have to keep fighting like this. You don't have to keep draining your energy on battles that lead nowhere. You can choose differently. You can release what was never yours to carry. You can walk away from what God never called you into. You can stop striving and start trusting, because not every battle is yours. And the moment you understand that, you step into a different kind of strength. A strength that doesn't come from pushing harder, but from aligning with God. So take a moment right now, look at what you've been fighting, and ask yourself honestly, did God really call me to this? If the answer is no, then maybe it's time to let it go. Because peace is waiting for you. Clarity is waiting for you. And the life God is leading you into is not found in fighting harder. It's found in fighting the right battles, or sometimes in not fighting at all.